Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Verdict, the last one for the year. And the Boks have managed to end their end of year season, or end of year tour rather, unbeaten. The first time since 2013.
You couldn't help yourself. You couldn't help yourself.
His first line.
But today, sadly, we won't be reviewing my incredible try in the 11th minute of that game against Wales in 2013. We will be talking about the Boks' performances, which was absolutely spectacular throughout the year. I'm joined by two battering rams in Lood de Jager and Schalk Burger. Guys, what do you make of that performance?
I think that first 30 was probably the best we had in the end of the year tour. Taking account, I think the Scotland result against Australia really puts our performance in perspective. England, but all those games, there was a few misfiring aspects to our game. That first 30 was incredible, and you take into account that we obviously missed out on 3 clear-cut opportunities through Jordan Hendricks. Sia got turned on his back, and then Apele Fassi should have scored the one where he was held up eventually. You add, another 3 tries to that first half score, and they would have been dead and buried. But credit to Wales, I guess, for hanging in tough. After that, we lost a bit of structure, and we weren't as accurate. But yeah, the Boks is a powerhouse, and we were so direct on the weekend and put them under pressure.
The Wales as a whole, right? It's sad in a way to see where they're at, but as Schalk mentioned, at least there was they try to put up a bit of a fight. If anything, even if there's a lack of coaching, defense and kind of putting up a brave show says a lot about the squad, but just not good enough.
Yeah, I think, the Welsh always been a difficult team to break down when they were good, 8-10 years back when they had their best team. I think at the moment they just lack quality on defense and on attack. But they're brave people. They showed up, but we were just so direct and we just battered them. I think that Jack Morgan made 10 tackles in the first 15 minutes or something like that. So you just can't keep that up for 80 minutes. And I think the Boks played that first 30, like Schalk mentioned, perfectly.
And to show how brave there was, I've never seen stats that lopsided after 30 minutes. I think we had 500 running meters in the first 30. They had 21 running meters on the ball. Defensively, they were just getting battered, and they hung in and they hung tough. And they actually, by the end of the first half, got their chance, got a foothold, eventually scored a try through Dyer, which was a nice result for them. But it's tough when it's not going well, and no cauldron is tougher than international sport. We've all been there where it's not been going well with the Boks. Talk about the Verdict. We've got to say thank you to the Boks for playing so well, because doing the Verdict when the Boks lose will be the toughest gig in the world.
Talking about celebrations, we just need to again celebrate and congratulate Pieter-Steph du Toit, World Player of the Year, once again for the second time, only the third South African to obviously get the award.
Who are the others?
I know. Of the 3 of us, there's one, yeah. But I mean, you've played a lot of rugby with him.
Yeah, he's special. He's just made to play the game. He's so fit and strong, and his mindset, he loves playing for the South Africa. He's such a proud guy, proud of playing for South Africa, and his versatility. He played lock a couple games this year, and he looked great, looked better than me. But at loose forward, he's a special player, man. He's honestly one generational talent.
And I think all 3 of that was nominated. It's so difficult for us to pick. But what stands out is their consistency. They never have a bad game. Eben, Pieter-Steph, same with Cheslin. It's how consistent they've been. I mean, Pieter-Steph, the second time he's won it, to get nominated twice. I think Eben's now been nominated 3 times, missed out all 3 times. It's incredible, and that speaks volumes for him. But also, like all of them, you can't do it without a great team. So whenever the Springboks go well, inevitably a Springbok player gets nominated. So second time, which puts him in a rare group now. This is GOAT territory he's going to. I know, I picked Cheslin for the win. And, I still think, he was exceptional for me. So congratulations to Pieter-Steph. When I bump into him, I'll buy him a beer, have a good time, hopefully get some words out of him. I know sometimes it's hard. Funny story is, his flight got cancelled.
Yeah.
And then he was put on a waiting list, and not even collecting the World Rugby Player of the Year award could get him on that flight. They kicked him off, and then his missus had to accept the trophy, and then he pitched up afterwards just to do the media conference.
I think it's, in terms of the progression of the game, I think, and what his wife has achieved as the first, the first female to win the men's rugby World Player of the Year. No, it was cool at least that she was there and to accept it. Now today, guys, we're not only going to give our verdict on the game and do the analysis of the Springbok game, but we're actually going to give a verdict on the other international teams as well that played in the Autumn Nations Series, and just where we feel they are at. I want to start with Sunday's game, and I think a scoreline that certainly flattered the Aussies, I think, in a way, at the end. 27-13, they lost, but Scotland, they were pretty impressive. And thinking about the Autumn International, Scotland's probably one team that came out stronger than what they started.
Yeah, I think, some of the basics in rugby never change. I think the Aussies, their team selection, they picked this big pack, but they didn't have a line-out caller. They had these two big locks in Salakai Lotto and Skelton. They had Harry Wilson calling the line-outs, his first time probably ever. I don't think he's even called at club level. They lost, I think, 6 or 7 line-outs, and especially then with Joe Schmidt, with his first 3 phases, is his massive thing. He wants to get gain line. He wants to put teams under pressure. If you don't win line-out ball,
Don't get the ball.
It's not gonna help.
Yeah, I think Scotland, I mean, they were good in defence, because we saw how direct Wales was against, Australia was against Wales, and how much success they had with Skelton, Valentini, Karevi. They changed the team up this week, and I think they were just a little bit, loose. They played in the wrong areas of the field too often. It doesn't help that you've got a malfunctioning line-out, and then at the breakdown they got schooled. So, but just shows how good the Scottish side is. And then obviously, once turnovers happen and you're playing from broken field, then all of a sudden you see Finn Russell standing up. Tupilotu was exceptional again. I didn't know that he played at Australia under 20, so a bit of a.
There was a bit of niggle there.
A bit of niggle there. There was a lot of niggle in the game. So congrats on Scotland. For me, I think they're looking reasonably strong. But then Six Nations, you look at them and you go, okay, they the nemesis for England now. But do they have the firepower to take it toe-to-toe to France? I don't think so. And Ireland, maybe not.
And then coming back to Australia, if you think where they were at a couple of months ago versus where they are now, obviously they've still got Ireland left this weekend. Let's say they lose that one. I think they win that one, and they back to certainly being one of the contenders for top 5 in the world, with the Lions series around the corner next year. But even if they lose to Ireland, 2 out of 4 on this tour, I think, again, going back to 2-3 months ago, they would have seen that as a successful tour. Do you agree with that, or is there still a long way to go for Australia to really be competitive in the Lions series next year?
Well, I think the big one for them was beating England. I think it'll give the youngsters a lot of belief. I just think, the Lions series is in 7 months' time, and I think that Lions team's going to be proper. I think, Andy Farrell coaching. There'll be a lot of Irish guys. There's a lot of guys and other Scottish guys, putting up their hand, English guys. That'll be a very strong team. I think Australia, they'll be competitive if they carry on how they carry on now. I think, they just need to get that team selection right. And I think, the Lions, it's a tough series. It's always a tough series. And it's 3 games, and you have to have depth. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be cards, with the the way it's ref modern, it's going to be cards.
It's going to be drama.
I think the thing with Australia is their depth. The Lions will have depth. They've got 4 countries to choose from. I think Australia, that's where the issue's going to come in. I think they're going to put a good team out on the field. The starting 15 would be good. It's the guys behind them, how good they are, the quality throughout the squad.
Yeah. I would say they were the most improved from where they came from. You take into account what the World Cup was, change, obviously Joe Schmidt. Then in the championship, they managed to beat Argentina in that wet game, which was, I think, incredible for them to get a result against Argentina. And then obviously, the standout was the English game, which was incredible. This weekend, I think it's a big game for them against Ireland to test their mettle and their consistency, and do they understand the way they go about winning rugby games. So, but I think they'll be most improved.
The Scotland since the World Cup. So we've said that we feel they have improved. What do they what do they need to change up and do better to really be competitive in the Six Nations and to actually stake a claim to win that one?
Not when they play Ireland. When they play France, it's that, just brute physicality scrum. Yeah, how do they get around that? Do they have the firepower to do that? It's the same issue they've got when they play the Boks. Their scrum against the Boks was under massive pressure. So, and I think the only other team that can do that to them is France. So we all know that the qualities they've got through 10 to number 13, their wingers, even Blair King on at 15. And we know how Glasgow plays with Franco Smith, and he actually gets that team to have the most effective driving maul, and they scrum, they survive in their scrum, and they're super physical, I think, which is underrated part of Glasgow's game. But I think that part of Scotland needs to step up if they really want to take the next step.
England played Japan after 5 losses on the bounce for England.
This is Lood's one.
They managed to get the win there. Now we know that we never underestimate the Japanese, but it's certainly not the quality of Japan that we saw in 2015. And you kind of always expected England to win this one.
Yeah, I think for England it's a tough game. You can't really get much out of it. You've lost against the 3 proper teams, and now you go and play Japan. If you beat them, it's like, well, it's Japan. So I don't think England can take much out of that game, to be honest. But I think Japan is struggling. Eddie took them from a team that's been struggling a little bit to a team that's hopeless at the moment. He's thrown out all the older guys, chucked in new guys. They were the second most inexperienced team ever to play at Twickenham. So I think they need to change, because there's good players in Japan. It's a good league, and they've gone away from their identity a little bit as well, especially on defense. They used to chop tackle, and they're still brave, but they technically they've gone away from that identity of theirs.
So like I was about to say, like your mechanical stuff, if you pick a young team, it's got to be so good. So yes, you're going to make 1 or 2 errors in lineouts, which is a challenge maybe for the Japanese, or surviving in the scrum. But then defense is 100% mechanical, and it's hard, which they should have. You play in Japan, you're getting leg chopped, you come around that corner, your head hits the deck first, and then the rest of your body parts land somewhere close to you. Hopefully they're close enough that you can pick them up. But you didn't see any of that on the weekend. Like it's almost like they were a little bit more upright, more passive, almost tackling like, we want to tackle, and they don't have the body type or approach for that. They've got a leg chop and get onto the ball.
Yeah. The England lost the games to Australia, New Zealand, Australia and ourselves, but they could so easily have won all 3 of those as well. Is it a fair reflection of where they are at, having only won 1 out of 4, or are they kind of a team on the up as well? Not judging by the Japan win, but more by collectively where they were at, or is it just a sense of not being able to know how to win?
Geez, what was it, 5 in a row?
Yeah.
Which they lost by 2 points or 9 points against the Boks. I think it's hard because, you're making certain errors in the game not to win those games. Whether that is through your team selection and not getting the subs right. We saw, New Zealand, I think, battle for large parts of this year, getting that last 20 sorted. They didn't score a try in the TRC in the last 20. Didn't score a point, I think, in the TLC in the last 20. So, and the Boks is sort of leading the way how to close out games. We just do it better than other nations. I think if they have enough patience with Borthwick and his coaching team, I think they are trending. They'll do something. They'll get something right. I think defensively, losing Felix Jones has been a big knock on them. I don't think their attack has wavered too much. They put teams under pressure. Marcus Smith was very good in all the test matches this Autumn Nations. So if they do, and we know the English media is a brutal beast, but if they do have enough patience with Jamie George and Borthwick, I think they might spring a surprise in the Six Nations.
Argentina beat South Africa, Australia and New Zealand this year. Not able to get the win against Ireland last week. Brave in that performance. And now again, even though they've been a bogey team for France at times, didn't get a result there. Was it just poor discipline? Or where do you rate that performance?
I love watching them, eh? They're so entertaining. They've got ninjas around the field. Those outside backs and those loose they break tackles, and our defense is proper, and they were breaking tackles left and right.
Malia at fullback.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So they've got a lot of talent. I think the issue is a depth up front, tight 5 especially. I think in the scrums, that Scalvi, that big guy, but when he goes off, there's not quality on the bench. I think got a 40-year-old prop on the bench. So again, their thing is Nothing against 40-year-olds.
Yeah.
You don't have to play anymore.
Don't worry, we're not playing. We're not
I
playing.
mean, we're not relevant.
Nothing
anymore,
against
so-
you guys, but yeah, I think it comes down to depth and the way they play. You know, those guys, they play with massive passion, and there's always going to be cards, and it's always. I just like watching them because it's always entertaining. There's tries, there's cards, you get everything.
Like if you take the weekend game in isolation, like I think Montoya was unlucky with his croc roll. Was a croc roll, was a neck roll. I know they zero tolerance because players have said, listen, that's where your big injuries come from. I don't think there was anything in it, but like they concede a lot of penalties, a lot of yellow cards early on in the game, discipline, make a lot of errors. So, and also like they're one of the few teams where I feel they overplay. You know, like even on the weekend, yes, they were chasing a game. Territory will be like 50-50, thereabouts. But then, you know, they'll run the house down running meters, but they do it all from way deep in their own half. And then as Lood said, when they play the box, they've got to find a way how to get around the scrum, because our scrum, same with the French scrum, really put them under pressure.
But again, you know, they're brave and they've got some fantastic players, individual players that can score brilliant tries. They've had some injuries as well, and I think if they're at their strongest, you know, when they can select all their players, pretty strong team and difficult.
And I think as well, they struggled at 10 for a while. They played Carreras at 10. He's not really a 10. They got that Albanos now, and he looks a decent player, especially on attack.
Very good player.
He runs the attack well, and he's an option. So I think that's a good find for them this season.
I think they want to create their own form of chaos. You know, when there's almost no rucks and offloads, and it's a half a drop ball or a bounce pass. Once they get that going, like we saw it against Ireland, you've seen it against France on the weekend. They're almost unstoppable when the tempo is so fast. So you can't have that 1 5-second ruck just to set your line again. So how do you find that balance between playing from deep and scoring those wonderful tries and actually being nice and composed within your structure?
Because that's very much where a traditional French team would have been the same. You know, just getting the ball out of contact. You know, hardly creating rucks. We do see a little bit more structure from this French team, but it has been amazing to see that they, even though they went through a bit of a dip in the Six Nations, and I think that was very much a hangover of the World Cup, with the expectations having been so high there, not delivering. They're certainly back to maybe not their best, but playing decent rugby. The internal issues that we see there, is that something that could curtail their progression?
Yeah, I mean, how do you know? You know, like Jalibert says, I don't sit on the bench. Obviously, Aldred for me is one of the standout players. Goes from starting lineup to out of the 23.
Well, he was still captain in the Six Nations. DuPont.
Then you look at the way they play. It's like an energy conserving game with long kicking game through Ramos and through DuPont. And then they come alive when they eventually get into your half. Their defense is outstanding. They're very good at the breakdown because I think predominantly body shape. It's not too much detail, but it's Antonio and it's Peter Movaka and it's Miafo and it's who else? You know, they all got that body shape where if they get in, you're not moving him from that ruck. So they're bloody hard to break down. And then when they get into the 22, they're the best in the world. You know, like that first try they scored, it looks so simple, but it's chaos and they're running at you and it's gain line and it's big units running at you. So, yeah, they are hard to play against.
I think the thing with us, we've got world-class players, but I think we can still win without some of our world-class players. If they lose DuPont, I can't see them going Grand Slam without DuPont. If he stays fit, I think they're the favourites to win the Six Nations, probably go Grand Slam. But if they lose him, they don't have the quality.
But this youngster Lagarak, or what's his name, he's a proper player as well.
Tell you what, like we talk about our 51 players, they use some players, the French.
Yeah, they use a lot there.
And sometimes it's because of reluctance to tour, and they've got to bleed the next generation, but they've got a lot of talent coming through. You know, development of new players is not an issue for them.
Development of new players, very apt to go into the next team, Ireland. Older team, we're so used to seeing the same starting 15 week in and week out. They beat Fiji convincingly. Have we seen enough from Sam Prendergast to say that he might be the incumbent now for that 10 jersey?
Yeah, I think definitely so. He looks composed on the ball. You know, he's not afraid to take it to the line. He's not, obviously he wants to be they want the next Sexton. I think he's the closest fit they've got. He obviously needs a couple of years under the belt, but I think he's the guy they should back. But I think the other problem is they need a blindside flanker. They need a blindside flanker. They
tried.
Don't have quality.
Chuku on the weekend, and he wasn't.
And Peter Omani, you know, He's past his best, and they're
Yeah.
trying to hold on to him. Tyke Burn, they've played at blindside, but he's
all
more a lock.
converted, yeah.
So I think if they've got a great number 8 Doris is world class. Van der Vlier is a very good player. They need a blindside, a big blindside.
Yeah, who was on the, like you've got obviously Joe McCarthy played lock with Tyke Burn on the weekend, I think, and Henderson on the bench. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. But like, I think they need dire need of a ball carrying blindside.
And then lastly, Italy and New Zealand, far better fight from Italy. You know, we kind of expected that. We saw them doing far better in the Six Nations, and this was the kind of performance that we were wanting to see during the Autumn Nations Cup. Fighting valiantly in that 29-11 loss, but New Zealand just too strong. Quick word on New Zealand, but also more so Sam Cane, TJ Perenara, done.
Yeah,
National Rugby
I
finished.
mean, awesome careers, and we played against them. That's forever, and they're still going. You know, Sam Cane, I'm so relieved for him that he actually got another bite at the cherry, because it was Rugby World Cup and it's red card and it's captain, and they, you know, there's also a guy who came to South Africa, broke his neck at Loftus, so got through all of that. Obviously had an awesome career, and I think this year we saw some of his best rugby in the All Black jumper. You know, and I think part of it's because they had a nice little balance there with Wallace Satiti and Ardie Savia, but he really, I think, was looking forward to being back in the All Black jersey. And then TJ, you know, we played Barbarians with him, so we know him better than most.
I think resilience, both of them. They've had a lot of injuries, very good players, and I think that the resilience they've shown over the last 10, 12 years to rack up the amount of caps they had and to perform. That's what stands out for me.
Oh, gosh! Come, close the door, close the door. Come.
Hey! It's me, your car.
Wait, what?
Guys, you know I love you. Half of you were made on my back seat. Scrooge for me as well. We've been on holiday together. Chrissy, your first kiss was in my boot.
What?
Sorry, I didn't know that was a secret. But there's 9 of you now. Small one. I've stopped learning the names. You're slamming my doors like a teenager. Jaden, milkshake. 2 hands. Number 5, elbows.
Sorry.
Every morning I get stuffed like a Christmas chicken. Guys, sell me to We Buy Cars. Get yourself a nice combi. Let me start over with a new family. No, don't cry. Here come the wipers.
Time for a change? It's as simple as We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
Okay, guys, so let's get into the analysis of the Boks victory. 45 points to 12. What did we win? 42-11, was it? 42-11 at Twickenham against Wales earlier this year.
Yeah, I think
They were thereabouts.
that was a record, that one, eh? I think.
I don't know.
I think it might have been, or the biggest winning margin away from home.
Okay.
I don't know.
I've
there
got
we
to
go.
guess. It's something
Let's
like that.
not ruin the show by facts.
Sorry, Borky.
Let's go into the analysis of this game. All I purely did was the 7 tries that we scored and 1 or 2 other clips. And I think to showcase where this team is at, how we've evolved, how we are able to now attack with way more freedom, our ability to transition from defense into attack, and just celebrate, you know, some of the individual brilliance that we've seen from the Boks as well. When there's a game like that where you are expected to win, you want a good start, right? And I think we started the game with high intensity and set the bar very high, very early. And again, this is kind of part of, well, I'll play it through, but this is part that I want to show is our ability to now out the back attack, getting into the wide channel. We don't go dead with the ball. And how's this line?
Oh, that's that line. You either score or you get absolutely smoked. They cancel, control, all delete, or you go and
I was
score.
about to say, in South Africa, there was always 1 or 2 guys looking out for you when you were running that line, like Willem Alberts. But I think what's technically brilliant is you obviously pick that line. He goes by himself. But you run at the back of the referee. That's where you want to be targeting. It's not, for some reason, when the referee's standing there, there's always a bit more space when he's not there.
Yeah.
And like on the replay that comes, you can actually see where he's come from. He's the inside line there. He's got the left shoulder, left elbow strapped up there. And he just follows play, and eventually puts his head down and says, I'm going to go score this.
And what I want to show you, Schalk, is also, so again, our shape. You know how nice our shape is, the options of the short runners, you know, had he played there, that could have been an option. Playing out the back, again, the lines that they run, Sia's line, you can see the pods and then how it actually happens and the ability to hit the right guys.
Yeah.
Again, out the back, Fussy, great line, keeps that defender honest. Sia, early pass. You know, Cheslin working hard not to go out. And then, as you said, referee there, space, boom.
And I think what all the best teams do at the moment, they stay on top of the opposition when there's momentum. The shape goes out the window, and they're looking for holes, and he just picks that hole early, and he runs hard, and it's a great start to the game.
But we didn't finish there. It was the lock show. Now, again, I speak about transitioning and our kicking game. You know, fussy, safe at the back, kicking the contestable kick, but making it competitive, competing for the ball. But that's not where it stops. Then it's the first ruck where you need to be competitive as well.
Yeah, and this is where you want your flankers to come alive, or your locks. Elriglo bounces back up, takes the space. Does so well not to crawl. You've got to go up. If you crawl, you also get penalised. Thomas de Toy, Eben does so well to pass it early.
Early, yeah. And then support.
Then support.
So a couple of things there again.
Yeah.
You know, Thomas de Toy going and being the 9.
Yeah.
With, again, the mindset of get the ball into space.
Yeah.
Making the pass, the numbers there, early pass by Eben, continuing with his lines that the defender can't get there, and then the support player.
And I also think Fussy getting stuck in on that counter ruck, here he comes. Fussy, and he gets stuck in, and he actually helps as well with that. Usually he wasn't too keen on the physical stuff, but all of a sudden he's making hits and counter-rucking, and just think it's amazing.
I'm about to say, like, if you Chuins are there, you follow Eben.
Yeah.
You go with him. You know, like, you don't let him get away from you. You're not going to catch Kurtley. You're never going to see him, but you can stay with Eben. And even, like, just before that, like Damien, just holding his feet. You know, having that awareness that it's a turnover, hold your feet, get into the wider channel.
Okay, line out opportunity. So if there's one area, and again, I'm not the expert here, you guys are, but we haven't seen a return of our mauls. And we spoke probably after the first episode, after the Scotland game, how different it is packing your maul in the Northern Hemisphere and how they defend it. But then the question is, okay, well, what do you do off it? If you don't get the return off the maul, what do you do from then? And I think that's why this is so pleasing to see. So no momentum there.
I also think Wales conceded 3 maul tries last week, so I think this whole week, especially playing the Boks, they were expecting that, and they were prepped for that, so they defended that well. But again, there's so many bites at it. If the maul doesn't get you, someone else is going to get you somewhere. So I think that's what's great about this team at the moment.
And I love our small little variations. Like it's through 12, Jordan opens up. Normally it will go straight to him.
Yeah,
and we use Cheslin just on the outside. And then we know Fussy sometimes flattens up on that line and actually goes for it. But then he realizes, here we see it. Normally it goes to 10. So Jordan's opening up right off the back. It goes in front of him, which obviously tightens up defense even more. So often Fussy will put his head down and go for that gap, just to have the presence to hold your line, hold your depth, and get that pass away.
And if our wingers get a ball 10 meters from the line, I'm not even thinking they're not scoring. It's like it's automatic for them if they score. If they get the ball within 10 meters of the line, it's a try.
We've got some finishes.
It's
not like it's a counter.
There's 3 players in around him, and they hardly lay a hand on him. It's unbelievable.
So that was 19-0 up after 19 minutes, and then we went through a bit of a slump. Sorry, what I wanted to say on that previous play as well. So many times in the past we would go maul gets sacked, and then we just go, we hit it up again with the 12 or whatever, and then we overwork our forwards because you're all down on the ground. Now you go ruck. Now you have to get there as well, and then you lose the ball. Where now we're saying backs take responsibility for it, but we're going wide channel.
Also remember, we went through a phase where we tried to pull the trigger too late. So actually, by the time that we played it, it was so static and it was down on the ground, and you had to regenerate everything yourself. It's almost like now, because we've had so much success, when it's moving slightly bit forward, we'd rather pull the trigger earlier and give ourselves a proper one-on-one shot instead of having people bounce out of that maul and make it harder.
So this is the disallowed try. What was interesting for me to see how many times we had our outside backs there close to the ruck.
Very New Zealand like that, eh? You see Severies and all of them.
Up,
So nice hands there by Johan Goroblaar. They come back for the knock-on, which I didn't necessarily think it was a knock-on. I actually thought it went sideways or back, but the angle, and we'll see the angle here now, but it's how fluid our attack now becomes, Yes, sometimes you want to be more mechanical and really set it up, but when you get momentum, Fussy just having a go, and then it's kind of just, you just play from there.
I think it's quite like you'll see in this replay. Like it comes off back of their number 14. So he does the first strip. That's him. And it's about that movement. Does that go sideways or does that go forwards? I'm not sure it goes forwards. Forwards. So you'll see the 14 rips it back, and it's that little touch there.
See his hand goes like
This
that.
Welsh player is going through a hell of a time on the deck.
That's why he chipped the ball.
He's not
That's
enjoying himself.
Dowie Lake, going through a hell of a time.
We'll get back to him. But now this is, and it feels like I mention it every week. This is where, okay, we've defended, we're Wales. We've defended really well. We forced them into making a mistake. Okay, they didn't score the try. So what do we do now? Now we scrum. And Lood, you made a comment about
very technical thing, but if you're a tight head, you would like to have 1 feet, at least 1 foot on the ground.
Some grounding.
Something in the ground. You preferably you wouldn't want both your feet in the air.
I love the fact that Jasper, I mean, he tried a quick tap later, which he yipped, but like takes the quick tap and we stay on top of them. And I think that's the mantra that you, Lood, just mentioned now. Don't give them out. Don't go back. Don't give up the gain line and back your skill set on that gain line.
And I think as well, usually you would, like I mentioned earlier about shape, and where shape goes out the way, usually you would go perfect 3 around the corner. Here is the first guy that rocks up, gets the ball, and that's.
You reckon you have more traction when there's
if you have a stud inside the ground, inside the ground, that helps.
That just, I mean, you've got to be special to be a prop, boys. That is just no place to be.
No fun.
But I mean, we had massive front row.
Like when Thomas de Toey weighs in at 130 something and he's 14 kilograms lighter than the other prop, Volkulo, you know you're in for a long day.
So scrum, we get the try. Now, this is the one you would like to speak about.
Just before, you just pause it now. So the rules are, if you cross the 15-meter line, there's no more line out. So as soon as that 18 and 19 went over the 15-meter, the line out's over. So that allows Sia now, there's not a line out, so he can actually, so what he does very well, he goes in between the lifter and the jumper. So it actually looks like they mess it up, but it's a smart play. But he actually, very good, it still looks like he's trying to catch the ball. He's not head down and just walking into them and giving away. Or maybe, play them in the air and it's a penalty. He looks like he's going to go for the ball, but it's a very heads-up play. And people don't always see that kind of stuff, but that's a massive play, 5 meters from your line.
Smart play from Sia. And again, what I want to show here is that's probably the difference between the two teams at the moment. Being street smart, having experienced guys making big plays in the big moments. Because now, again, and we're playing this through, we kick it out, they get the line out. They mess up their line out. That's their captain. He gets the ball after hitting the head.
The Falcon.
A hooker. And you chip kick.
I mean, I've got time for hookers doing a chip kick. I mean, John Smith tried it a couple of times, but it's got to be on. Like, you can't come around the corner and see Ergis Snyman ahead of you, chip it. Then your 14 gets it at the back and runs out of the 22, tries to get his feet tangled to get back into it, kicks it out on the full.
That's a minute and a half later. You find yourself defending a line-out, in your own 22 after having an attacking line-out. And this is just after that then. Kicking it out again, just enough pressure to get a bit of relief. The counter-attack from Fassi. And this actually almost looked like a set play.
I think, a lot of teams defend with a 9 on the blind. They try and almost hide the 9 on the blind. If you see Sia runs at their 9 and once he has to commit, he can't leave Sia, and he bites in, and it just creates that.
I think it's 100% like something you'll train in the week. So you kick return, 1 hit up, and then the 3 guys who use in the tram. Sia runs that little unders line, a scoot line or whatever, and the 9 just can't resist. He dips in. Out the back is the perfect man, and Kurtley Arons, and they're so natural when they don't even know whether they're going to dummy or take it themselves. This just instinctively takes over, show of the ball, and a beautiful finish by Fassi.
Again, look at these conversion rates of our try-scoring ability of our outside backs. 7 tries, 11 games.
You got the weekend special and an awesome video there.
And, I mean, Kurtley...
This angle shows it perfect. 9 bites on Sia. And how nice, how smooth from Kurtley.
Because they have numbers there. They're numbered up, and but still the ability for our guys just to go through the dummy... Fullback, no chance.
But the detail these days, coaches don't even look, they don't look purely at numbers anymore. They look at faces. Who's in front of you? These three guys, one of them is a 9. He can't tackle. So it doesn't matter if you feel they're numbered up. Look who's in front of you and target them.
100%.
Then the second to last try, just a power game. Again, there's the quick tap.
Sorry, it was Cameron Honeycomb. Yeah, with the yip off the big toe.
So we've seen the shape, we've seen the outside attacking. Now it's just power game in their 22, one-off runner, getting there in for the clean, and eventually just too much power.
I think when we started with Tony Brown, we were very loose in this area especially. Like it's almost like outside the 22, we were amazing. And then we got into the 22 and we didn't really know where to go. And we saw, especially on this tour, how direct, how we tighten up, and you see your wingers, your 12s, your 13s, all bailing out the forwards. So it's not forwards. Obviously, we've got way too much power for this Welsh side. But like I think our transition has been really good.
We'll see the replay now as well, and how great it is too. We saw Thomas du Toit scoring, when was it, last week and 2 weekends ago. And now Steenekamp scoring as well, both of the locks scoring, so 3 out of the 5 of the tight 5. But we'll see on the replay now. Again,
Great conversion rate. Yeah. Also 11 caps got the one.
one try, close, pretty much.
Close, the same thing.
But look, again, technical skill, oops. But he
Worked
got
out
it
well
right.
for him in the end.
It did work out. But look at the Wales defenders, and this angle is not the greatest. But I mean, there's the line. You want to be on the line. You don't want to give the attackers
And also,
an
John,
absolute inch.
You've got no chance at hitting there and stopping him. You almost got to catch them. So when they come, you want to put your legs underneath and let him land on top of you, get the goal line drop out. Yeah, but you can't be half a meter behind the try. You just got to be on it.
And then the last try, again, bit of indecisiveness. Pollard gets it, goes forward, nice offload. And how nice to finish it off with Jordan Hendricks.
Yeah. So nice with all of our athletic backs we have that Andre still has a spot in the back.
I was panicking for the line break. I'm just joking. But how nice is our 9s? They're all a threat now. Yeah. And the fact that, he just doesn't give it from the base to 10. He actually goes around, splits 1 and 2nd defender, and then works through contact to get the offload. Similar to like Grant Williams, what he did against England. Ball pops out. He doesn't look for someone else. He actually looks as an attacking threat.
And I think that's the benefit we have now with our 9s. They're so quick off the mark. They keep the defenders honest, and even though it might just be a split second or a defender just one step in, but that one step in creates another couple of meters on the outside.
And especially our 9s with tired forwards. You imagine a guy like Kobus and Grant coming on. You force them to make 200 plus tackles already, or 150 plus, and now they have to, around the ruck, deal with Grant Williams and Kobus Reinach's space.
There's also no chance to recover. Once the pass goes, we can sort of go catch up, communicate. If the 9 scoots, you've got to make a decision there. And most of the times we're too late on our bike, and that happens.
And you've got jelly legs from all the scrums and mauls and tackles you've had to make.
I know. They made some tackles on the weekend. Wow.
Jeez, you make as if the forwards does everything. The back scoring the tries. Okay, guys, so unbeaten on tour. For the Boks, and again, as mentioned, only 2 losses. Both of those games only by 1 point. Conversely, Gatland and Wales, 12th loss in a row. Where does that leave them?
It's, like I said, there's always a silver lining. You honestly can't really do worse. I think they just got a young team. They lack quality both sides of the ball. That's just that's a fact. You mentioned Australia earlier, and they're in the position where they can bring in quality from overseas or whatever. Wales just don't have that at the moment. They are now have to back the youngsters and get someone in that can work with those youngsters. They've got 3 years because the World Cup's the most important thing. What happens in between it's not irrelevant, but it's not nearly as important.
And 3 years is a long time.
3 years is a long time. So there is 1 or 2 players. I think that Botham looks a good player. There are guys that look decent, but they need time and they need a proper coach to work with those guys in the next 3 years. And they can be competitive in 3 years' time if they get it right.
I mean, for me, it's not only about the Welsh national side; it's overall of the system, from the youth structures.
Can't blame one guy.
Get young Welsh kids to stay in Wales, play rugby there. Then you've got to go to the USC franchises. Ospreys are going all right, but the last couple of years, by all accounts, the Welsh sides have been pretty poor in the URC. So once you turn it around there at club level, then you've got a chance of getting it going at the international level. So for me, you've got to be patient with him. Whether Gatland's got the change room and the right guy to do this with this generation, that's not for us to decide. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's more pain on the horizon soon. Six Nations, I think they'll be under pressure. But like Lood says, you've got no choice. These players that's got a chance to prove it now. They've got to take it upon their own shoulders. That's their responsibility to restore Welsh rugby to what it was.
Yeah, it's a collective change that they need rather than one guy being blamed for it, because one guy coming in is not going to change it either. It is, though, only 6 wins from 24 since he's taken over again. So
yeah, that's brutal. And 400 and something days since the last
win. Yeah, it's tough. Did anyone impress you from the Wales team? And will we see a Welsh player in the starting team for the Lions?
Not at the moment, no. I think James Botham was good on the weekend. Like, put himself about, decent carries, got rewarded with a try, but also at the breakdown, I think he was really up for it. So Jack Morgan's a nice player, nice loose forward. But then, beyond that, Rio Dyer's got something about him when he's in space. He's some serious gas. But the rest of them, they were outplayed on the weekend, so it's hard to know.
Because if you think the previous Lions tour, there was a big Welsh contingent, and it's difficult to see a player now staking a claim for not only the starting 15 but for the 23.
Yeah, like Scala mentioned, when the team suffers, everybody suffers. It's the same thing if the team does well. You get superstar that's nominated for Player of the Year. At the moment, I can't see that happening. I can't see them having anybody, at least in the starting lineup. But rugby a week is a long time.
Yeah, it changes quick.
So it can change quickly for them. Hopefully, it does before the Lions series.
The rebuilding is important for them, and I think we spoke last week about how Andy Farrell and Steve Borthwick have kind of struggled to rebuild and introduce youngsters in that group, whereas Rassie, 51 players this year. That's just next level depth that we have. If we were to play a World Cup final game tomorrow, sorry, you're still injured. Starting 15.
Oh no, it's impossible to pick. Whatever the World Cup final, we'll probably go 7-1 reverse to the backs or whatever the case might be. But Ox starts at loosehead. At the moment, we tend to play Marks off the bench.
Yeah.
So you go Bongi, Frans Malherbe if he's back fit, Jevin, probably Franco Mostert on his performance on the weekend. Loose forwards stay the same. Sia, Pitstef, Jasper Visser. 9, I've got no choice, boys. I don't know. We've used 5 this year.
9 and 10 is probably the most difficult to decide, and 15 in a way.
And then if you take into account, like there's at the moment, we sort of forget about Damien Willemse.
Yeah.
He hasn't played for us. Sasha Feinberg's injured.
Yeah.
So I can't pick the backs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Leave that one to you, John.
Yeah, that's your job.
You're leaving everything to us at this stage.
I'm going to pick a team.
No, because 9 and 10, so I'd probably say at this stage, it's either Grant or Quibbles.
Yeah,
to start at 9. 10 is like a flip of a coin, but then again, if it's a final, and knowing the way final goes, you still go with Andre.
Yeah.
Damien and Jesse, Kirtley and Cheslin.
Fullback?
And then fullback, is it Fussy, is it Villiers, is it Damien?
Yeah.
So we are extremely, extremely blessed in terms of our depth. And the fact that it's not just about the 15, it's about the bomb squad as well.
Yeah.
No?
And then what are you going for? We 5-3 on the weekend. We went 7-1, 6-2, 5-3. That was Autumn Nations Cup. Every week's a bit different. Yeah, we put it together.
4-4.
I was convinced if all our backs are back fit, we're going to go the opposite. We go 5-3 back split, and we get Andre Esterhuizen just to jump in the line out just for fun. Or whatever. He's been throwing in jumping. He can do anything. So.
Wouldn't surprise me.
No, me neither. Especially like now that everyone's moaning about us in the 7-1 nuke squad. So just go the other way. What happens if we bring 5 backs on? A lot of hair product in the changing room. That will be for sure.
Why are we selecting Faf then? So it's 7 months until the next game the Boks play. Lood, we're hoping that you will be playing rugby then and not sitting here, even though you've done a sterling job.
Thank you, John. That's the first compliment you've ever given me,
Yeah, I know.
ever in my life. I appreciate
Can
that.
we edit
Thanks.
that out?
Can I just get that one on camera? Send it to me personally.
So after you retire one day, then
Yes.
we'll get you back here. Okay, when you're injured, you're always welcome back. But 7 months until the Boks play again. We take on Italy in 2 test matches. Will we see a swan song for Villiers getting to his 100? He obviously made his debut in 2013 Durban against Italy.
It'll be lovely to see him playing his first against Italy, 100 against Italy, and he just serves the team. What a team guy, you know. He'll do whatever the team wants if he has to carry water. He deserves it. He deserves having his
forget
100.
how good he was against Scotland.
Yeah.
That's the quality we've got. So,
Yeah.
he's going to have a nervous 7 months. He can't be left stranded 98 not out. So, a couple of quick singles, we get Villiers over the line, get him to his 100th. It would be lovely. You can't play that much rugby and not get to it.
We've spoken a lot about Ireland peaking too soon before World Cups. Do we run the risk of peaking too soon before World Cup, or are we just showing a next level of consistency in the way that we play because we're not playing the same players every week? We're keeping the squad fresh throughout and we're blooding youngsters along the way as well.
It's a difficult thing. I think, the other teams are going to get better. That's definitely the case. New Zealand, Australia, they're better already. They'll be better next year. England will get better. France is already on the up. I think Ireland are in a sticky situation, but they've got quality. I think the next 3 years will be challenging. I think, and it'll be a great thing for us. You don't want to have a walk in all the way to the World Cup and then lose in the quarterfinal. So I think we'll have challenges over the next 3 years, and I think it'll be a good thing for us.
I think if you read between the lines and you know the team really well, I think all of them still go, and they quote the 2011 to 2015 All Black side, it's the greatest side ever. And I think within that group, there's ambition to try and emulate that. I mean, they hardly lost a game in those 4 years. Might have lost a couple against the Boks, one against the Boks or whatever they did. So, I think this team has got that resilience and ambition to push the boundaries even further, and that's what you want to chase. Whether we can do that or not, that's for time to tell.
As I say every week, the reason that the show is called The Verdict is because we need to give our very honest verdict of the performance of the Boks against Wales this weekend. Lood, I'm going to start with
Can't Schalk start for once, because then
Schalk,
I can
I'm
get a
gonna
gauge of it.
Schalk, I'm going to start with you.
I'm going for 8.5, good finish. And it's based on that first 30 minutes. Like whatever we thought Wales can test us with, breakdown, how direct we were. I don't think I've seen stats that lopsided. I mentioned it earlier, so 8.5 for me.
8.5 out of 10. When 10 is the best you can play, they played at 8.5.
I've got an 8. I think first half was a 9.
I
Second
didn't
half
ask
was
you. I didn't ask you, but
Carry on.
First half was a 9. Second half was a 7. Average 8.
No.
If my maths are
Yeah, that's
right.
correct.
That's 100% correct. And if we were to go for a rating for the year, what would we end up with? 11 out of 13 won, both games by 1.
No, we've got to be so happy as South Africans. Like even our gig, I said it before, so nice when the Boks win. So I will go here in total 9 out of 10 for me.
I think, asking me, you're looking at me. I don't know anymore. Can I go?
Please.
Thanks. I think it's not just the 11 out of 13. It's with 51 players going 11 out of 13. For me, it's also a 9. It's a great year.
I thought you were going to say 11 out of 10. I cannot agree more. 9 out of 10 year for this Boks team after 2020. Where are we now? 2024. After 2023 being a 10 out of 10, because if you win the World Cup, it needs to
you
be,
can't get better than
it needs to be a 10 out of 10. And I think to back it up with what we did this year, 9 out of 10 to our Springboks. Scala, a last word from you, seeing that this is our last.
This is our last show.
Yeah.
Like, are we going for beers after this? No.
No.
Sorry. No, it's just been a pleasure to watch the Boks, and we're so privileged, and we know we've all played in it. We all know it doesn't last forever. So, we as South Africans don't get arrogant as supporters. Stay humble, but enjoy this moment because our team's definitely humble. And I think the standout feature of the Boks for me is everyone who come in contact with them goes on about how well mannered, how approachable they are. And I think our supporters must stay the same.
Lood?
Guys, thanks for having me. It's been a real pleasure. And I'm going to try and play a bit more rugby now.
Yeah.
From now, talk a bit less, play a bit more, if that works out. Yeah, we'll see where we go. But thanks for having me.
No, the biggest pleasure, man.
Thanks for joining us, Lood. We would far rather love to give our verdict on your performances
Give me another 2 out of 10. Why don't you give it?
than having a year, but it's been an absolute blast having a year. And like we said, whenever you are available, you will be back. You'll join us again. And yeah, thanks so much for that. I know that the viewers have really enjoyed it as well.
We'll have a special Lood rating.
Lood rating.
That's going to be terrible.
That is unfortunately all we have time for. So to all the viewers out there, if you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe and comment and give us your views. Tell us whether you want us back next year. We are certainly making plans to be back. And if you're watching on SuperSport, just keep on supporting the Boks and keep on supporting rugby. It's been unbelievable for us to look at the growth of the Springbok team, and I don't think a lot of people would have expected that after the performances last year, but it has been exactly that. For us as two former Springboks and a current Springbok, it's been an absolute joy to watch this Bok team. We are so proud to call ourselves South Africans and to call the Springboks our team, because that is exactly what they are. Thank you very much. Thanks for supporting us. Thank you to our sponsors, We Buy Cars and Freddie Hirsch. We have had a blast, and we will see you again next year. Have a happy Christmas and see you in 2025. Cheers.